He wants us to make a cake for the world's biggest game show. What do you mean? I'd like to see something like Vegas. Place dice on top, lots of feathers, like a glass for a cocktail. Like Colors in Vegas. Don't mess up. Since its premiere in 2009, Cake Boss has caught the hearts and imaginations of viewers all over the world. It has become a mainstay on TLC's schedule thanks to its captivating mix of family drama, intricate cake designs, and Buddy Valastro's charismatic leadership. I always tell people this is one of the things I love most about my show. If you want to be a chef or a baker, you should work in a diner or a bakery. Over the course of 10 seasons, 251 episodes, and many specials, the show not only showed off the culinary skills of Carlo's Bakery, but it also caused problems for the star and his family. What was it about the show that made it end? Let's look at how Cake Boss got started and how it ended, and the judicial disputes that lead to this disagreement. But before we go that route, let's look at the bigger picture. There is Cake Boss and Buddy Valastro. The American reality TV show Cake Boss quickly became a cultural hit after its premiere on the cable network TLC on April 19, 2009. 4 other shows, Next Great Baker, Kitchen Boss, Bake You Rich, and Bakery Boss, were made because of the show. Cake Boss is based around Carlo's Bake Shop, an Italian-American bakery in Hoboken, New Jersey that is owned by a family. Bud Valastro, the charming star of the show, owns and runs the bakery with his sisters Lisa Valastro, Maddalena Castano, Grace Fogno, and Mary Sciaron. The series shows how intricate, life-size cakes are made, with a focus on both the technical skills and artistic processes that go into them. The show also shows how the family members and workers interact with each other in their personal and professional lives. Bud Valastro, whose real name is Bartolo Valastro Jr., has been an important part of the bakery since he started working there when he was 17. Buddy grew up in Little Ferry, New Jersey. He is the youngest child and only son of Bartolo Buddy S.R. and Mary Valastro. A small family-owned bakery called Carlos Bakery has been turned into a famous chain of bakeries and restaurants by Buddy. Some people have been upset about this rapid rise, though. Let's look at the life and work of the man who made all of this possible first. We'll talk more about that later. When Valastro was born on March 3, 1977, and lived there until he was a young adult, he started his journey. He later lived in Little Ferry, NJ, and grew up there. Mary Tubito, his mother, was born in Altamura, Italy, to Nicola and Maddalena Tubito, who came from Italy. When Mary was 6 years old, her family moved to New Jersey. Bud's S.R., Valastro's dad, was from Lipari, Italy. Valastro had 4 older sisters, Grace, Mary, Maddalena, and Lisa. They were all around him when he was a child. In the past, Buddy went to Ridgefield Park High School and took baking classes at the Teterboro campus of Bergen County Technical High School. The Carlos Bakery was founded by Carlo Guastafaro in 1910 in New Jersey. It was a small business in a quiet area. Back in the 1950s, when Bartolo Valastro came from Sicily to work as a trainee, the bakery picked up speed again. Because he was so dedicated and loved baking, he bought the bakery in 1963, turning it into a business run by a family. Buddy first learned about the family business when he started working with his dad when he was only 11. Buddy took over running the bakery when his father died when he was only 17. He did a great job of it, even though his father had died the year before. Even though he never got to live out his youth dreams, he made sure that his kids had a good life. Like in the 5th episode of the first season of Cake Dynasty, Valastro talked about how his biggest son, Junior, was the first Buddy Valastro to graduate from high school. The only reason this was possible was because Buddy turned his family's shop into the best place to get designer wedding cakes. Bridal magazines liked these complicated works of art, which put Valastro in the public eye. Because of this, they were asked to compete in 4 Food Network Challenge cake competitions. Valastro kept going even though he lost his first 3 fights and won the $10,000 grand prize in the Battle of the Brides competition. This was the start of Cake Boss and everything that came after, the rise of Cake Boss. His drive grew after he won the Battle of the Brides challenge. He came up with the idea for a reality show about life at Carlos Bakery, where he worked with his mother, sister, and many in-laws and cousins. TLC liked the idea, and Cake Boss started in 2009, which changed Valastro's life and business forever. Valastro became more well-known outside of TV when his first book, Cake Boss Stories and Recipes from Mia Famiglia, came out in 2010. Several other successful books, such as Baking with the Cake Boss, 100 of Buddy's Best Recipes and Decorating Secrets, Cooking Italian with the Cake Boss, Family Favorites as Only Buddy Can Serve Them Up, and Family Celebrations with the Cake Boss, came after this first book. The show Cake Boss is about how the famously complicated and creatively designed custom cakes are made every day at the shop. Buddy, who is kindly known as the Cake Boss, is in charge of a skilled group of bakers and decorators who make beautiful cakes for all kinds of events, from weddings to birthday parties to business meetings. In each show, viewers get a behind-the-scenes look at the complicated process of making a cake. Mauro Castano, Buddy's brother-in-law and a master baker, is one of the main figures. Buddy's sister Mary Velastro and his wife Lisa Velastro are also very important. They help with the bakery's routine tasks and are there for Buddy and his family. The relationships between the characters give the show more depth and show both the good and bad sides of having a family-owned business. The team bravely takes on big wedding cake extravaganzas where Carlo's Bakery makes beautiful cakes that are the center of a big party. A highlight is also the holiday specials, which show themed cakes that get people in the holiday mood for events like Halloween and Christmas. Buddy and his team also compete against other skilled bakers in shows that put them under a lot of pressure and test their technical and creative skills. Cake Boss has reached amazing achievements over the course of its history, including making cakes that look like famous buildings and structures. Its influence went beyond TV. It made cake decorating more famous as an art form and encouraged people all over the world to enjoy and try making similar things in their own kitchens. Over 220 countries worth of fans love and respect the show, which has become a culture phenomenon. Velastro's work had an effect on more than just the bread and TV. In January 2012, the Hudson Reporter recognized his important service to Hoboken by including him as an honorable mention on its list of the 50 most important people in Hudson County. Of course, this was because Carlo's Bakery and Cake Boss had brought so much fame and attention to the area. Velastro was added to the New Jersey Hall of Fame in 2017. Mariano Rivera, a pitcher for the Yankees, introduced Velastro at the ceremony. Velastro was proud of his New Jersey roots and said, "I am damn proud to be from this state." Buddy's unwavering determination and love of baking have not only kept his family's tradition alive, but they have also made Carlo's Bakery a worldwide name. Buddy Velastro expanded his restaurant business beyond the bakery in 2013 when he opened Buddy V's Ristorante, an Italian restaurant in Las Vegas's Venetian Hotel. This was Velastro's first successful business effort in the restaurant business, but he became more well-known in Las Vegas when Buddy's Jersey Eats and the Boss Cafe at the Lincoln Pizza Cakey opened at Harrah's, adding to the popularity of his name in the city's lively food scene. Velastro was still eager to start his own business. In June 2014, he started Buddy V's Events, an event planning and catering business that would bring his unique style and cooking skills to private parties and events. 2 years later, Velastro teamed up with Whole Earth Sweetener for the ad called Rethink Sweet. Velastro pushed a new line of low and no-calorie sweeteners as the brand's spokesperson. In 2018, Velastro continued to be creative by working with the Pound Bakery, a business that makes treats for pets. They worked together to remake and release a new line of treats for pets that were based on traditional Italian meals and sweets. Fondant, buttercream frosting, and biscotti cookies from Italy. This line of products is made for both home bakers and pros, which shows how important he is in the world of food. With the launch of cake ATMs in 2019, Velastro changed the way people eat cake. These high-tech vending machines that keep food cold give out cake slices, so more people can enjoy his designs. When these machines first came out in Las Vegas and Toronto, they quickly spread across the US and Canada. With dozens now located mainly in Florida, Las Vegas, and New Jersey. In 2023, Velastro moved his show to the AE Television Network to keep coming up with new ideas and growing his brand. That's where he started 2 new shows: Cake Dynasty, about his kids joining the family business, and Legends of the Fork, about a trip to different restaurants across the country. Velastro has made a big impact on American media and the food scene in the United States. He has created healthier sweeteners, treats for pets, and new ways for cake vending machines. But there is a different Buddy Velastro. Behind the TV screen is the real man. What goes on behind the TV? Buddy Velastro is known for his famous role on screen, but he is also very dedicated to helping others. He supports the Special Olympics in a big way. During the 2011 Special Olympics USA National Games, he baked a cake to mark the event. The 2014 Games will be held in New Jersey. In addition, Velastro has made the dreams of hundreds of sick kids come true by letting them bake with him through the Make-A-Wish program. Buddy Velastro married Elisabetta Lisa Beljevin on October 14, 2001. They lived in East Hanover Township, New Jersey, at first with their 4 kids, Sophia, Bartolo, Buddy, Marco, and Carlo. They have lived in Montville, New Jersey since 2014. Sergio Piccinch, Velastro's dad, and his 4 older sisters and their husbands often appear on his TV shows. Grace is married to Joey Fano, Mary is married to Josie Arone, and Lisa Velastro is one of the sisters. Unfortunately, Lisa's ex-husband Remy Gonzalez quit the show after being arrested and jailed for attack in 2010. I'll say more about that later. As the head of operations at Carlo's Bakery, Velastro's brother-in-law Mauricio Beljevin works for him and is part of his family business. Velastro has had personal problems even though he has been successful at work. For example, in September 2020, he hurt himself very badly when a pin setter stuck his right hand at his home bowling lane. He had 2 emergency surgeries and then a number of other treatments. He said 3 years later that his hand was about 95% as strong as it was before. When it comes to politics, Valastro has been a strong backer of the Republican Party. As a Republican, he worked to re-elect Governor Chris Christie in 2013 and baked him a cake for his birthday in 2014. Valastro also supported Christie's bid for president in 2016. However, there is more to his personal life than just lawsuits and scandals. The show Cake Boss praised Buddy Valastro and his family's achievements and skills, but there were also problems going on behind the scenes. Above all, at 1 a.m., Bud Valastro got in trouble with the law on November 13, 2014, when he was pulled over on the west side of New York City for allegedly driving drunk. It was the 6th season of Cake Boss at the time, and Valastro was already a well-known person in the food world and beyond. The fact that he was arrested was not a small matter that could be ignored. It got a lot of attention from the people and was covered by many news outlets. The arrest of Valastro quickly became a big story, taking over news stories and social media discussions. What people thought about the story spread quickly on Twitter, and Jimmy Fallon even talked about it in his opening address on his late-night show. Anthony the Pastry Ark Albanese, a former contestant on Cake Boss, celebrated the event in the traditional cake baking way by making a cake with Valastro's picture in the frosting. In any case, Valastro knew how bad what he did was and apologized to everyone for it. Even though he tried to make things right, the memory of that night kept coming back to haunt him. The arrest and the events that followed became a permanent part of his public image. They showed that he was human, and that fame can be hard. Not long after being arrested in 2014, Buddy Valastro talked about it in a video chat with Mario Lopez of Extra. He wanted to clear up any misunderstandings about how much alcohol he had drunk that night. He said he had too many drinks at a work dinner. He was eager to say, though, that he could handle his drinking. Even though Valastro tried to play down the situation, it was clear that he had gone too far. In the police report, it was very clear what had happened that night. Valastro had been seen weaving in and out of traffic lanes. This kind of erratic behavior shows a high level of disability. Valastro's blood alcohol level was well above the legal limit on the breathalyzer test that was given soon after he was pulled over, which supported the officer's suspicions. That's not all, though. As the police followed Valastro's yellow Corvette for 12 blocks and watched him swerve recklessly, he tried to use his fame to get out of being arrested. He yelled it looks like he was hoping that his fame would make the police change their minds. The NYPD wasn't convinced by his claim that he was famous for being Hoboken's cake. But when that didn't work, Valastro tried to talk things out even more. He asked the police to put him in a taxi and begged them not to arrest him because he wasn't a bad guy. Even though he tried to stop them, the police went ahead with the arrest, taking him to the 7th Precinct on the Lower East Side, where he was booked and then let go without bail. Valastro's famous line, "You can't arrest me, I'm the Cake Boss," might not have caused as much public outrage if it hadn't been broken. Buddy took the effects of his crime head-on and pleaded guilty in Manhattan's criminal court. Afterward, he felt bad about what he did and promised himself that he would never drive impaired again. Valastro's driver's license was taken away for 3 months in both New York State and New Jersey, where he lived, as part of his term. Judge Melissa A. Crane also gave him a $300 fine and told him he had to take a course on how to avoid driving drunk. Valastro admitted that he was wrong and said he was very sorry for letting down his friends. He said that he had thought he was safe enough to drive that night, but he accepted that he was wrong. He said again on Twitter that he was sorry and explained why he agreed to the plea deal. Even though his public apology and acceptance of responsibility were important steps in dealing with the situation, the event did hurt the show's publicity as a whole. People still remember even after years have passed. But this wasn't the first time Valastro had been in trouble with the law. At one point in 2010, his show Cake Boss got into a legal fight over its name, after Kelly and John Masters, owners of the software company Cake Boss, sued TLC for copyright infringement. Judge Richard A. Jones granted a preliminary injunction against them that said they could not use the name Cake Boss. There was a breach of contract between the Masters and TLC when ads for the show started running in 2009, but the channel did nothing at the time. Judge Jones said that even though TLC might not have known that the name was already being used, the network's large investment in the show should have led to a simple search to make sure the name was unique. Even though Valastro's book Cake Boss Stories and Recipes came out in November of that same year, it was not affected by the decision. In addition, TLC and Master Software came to an understanding to settle their differences just 3 months later. The agreement said that both sides could keep using their names with a small change to make them stand out. This result made sure that Cake Boss could keep going with its original name. Things were still not going well for the show, though. After only 2 years, in 2012, a transphobic joke on the show got it in trouble. Carmen Carrera, who you may know from RuPaul's Drag Race, decided to go on the show to fight for transgender people's rights. When Cousin Anthony, playing a joke on Carrera as a joke, said something that made her look less like a transgender woman, the situation went badly. After the June 11th episodes aired, Carrera, who had taught the show's producers about proper language and sensitivity, went on Facebook to say how upset she was. She spoke out against how transgender women were portrayed and how disappointed she was with highly inappropriate behavior. Carrera's comment was backed by her fans and allies in the LGBTQ community. This led GLAAD, a well-known media advocacy group, to stand with Carrera. Because of the negative feedback, TLC quickly took the show off of its schedule. Buddy Valastro himself posted an official apology on Facebook to Carrera, her fans, and the whole LGBTQ community, saying he was sorry for what happened. Also, Cousin Anthony said sorry for his hurtful comment on Twitter before the incident. But there's more. In the 5th season of Cake Boss, a dramatic episode showed how things got bad in the Valastro family business. Buddy Valastro's sister, Mary Ciarrone, got into a lot of trouble because she had a short fuse and often got into fights with coworkers. Buddy chose to talk to Mary alone because she was getting tired of saying mean things all the time. What started out as a warning turned into a heated argument very quickly. Buddy said that Mary would not be able to handle Carlos Bakery as long as he was in charge. Mary was known for getting into fights with customers and workers, so her firing was a relief for everyone at the bakery and on the show. Real-life TV shows often live on drama and conflict, but when Mary Chiron left, Cake Boss felt calm almost right away. Buddy and Mary have kept up a family bond outside of work, even with all the drama in the public eye. This keeps their business differences at Carlos Bakery. Even though this next one isn't controversial, it was a tough one for Buddy. Buddy and his family had a scary event while boating in New York Harbor in the summer of 2014. Valastro told CNN about the event and how they got stuck in the thick fog of Ambrose Channel, which is a busy area where big commercial ships often go. As vision dropped, Valastro made the smart choice to stop their boat because they were afraid of colliding with the big ships that were sailing nearby. The situation got worse when Valastro saw a ship coming towards them. He quickly maneuvered the boat to avoid the ship, which he described as a very scary moment. Valastro quickly called the New York police and fire departments for help. As soon as the distress call went out, relief teams showed up to make sure Valastro and his family were safe. Interestingly, Valastro did not use his fame or ask for special treatment in this case, even though he later got in trouble with the law and the famous Cake Boss episode. But things were not going to get better for the Cake Boss family. In 2012, a disturbing incident involving a Valastro family member came to light. Legal sense, it didn't involve Buddy himself. Remy Gonzalez, Buddy's ex-brother-in-law, was found guilty of 2 counts of aggravated assault and given a 9-year prison term. The charges were based on an event in March 2010, in which Gonzalez was said to have abused a girl who was 12. Gonzalez initially pleaded yes to the charges, but later he tried to change his plea. He said that his bad mood had made it hard for him to think clearly and that some of what he said in his confession was not true. The judge in charge of the case, however, did the right thing by turning down his request to change the plea. Gonzalez had been in trouble with the law before he was on Cake Boss. He had been on a few shows as a cake decorator and for a short time as the husband of Buddy Valastro's sister. People were so angry about Gonzalez's arrest that they started a petition on Change.org asking the network to take down shows that featured him. IMDb says that Gonzalez had been in a total of 42 episodes of the show. Gonzalez had made a mess, and the Valastro family quickly tried to stay away from it. After he was arrested and got into legal problems, his sister Buddy Valastro's wife, Lisa Valastro, divorced him. Not only did the case have legal effects, but it also caused a lot of public debate and scrutiny, showing how complicated and serious allegations can be when they involve people who are close to famous people. The end of Cake Boss and what came next. Carlos Bakery opened new locations across the United States because of the success of Cake Boss. The original site in Hoboken got even better, but there was a big break in the show in 2017 because Valastro's mother died after a long fight with Lou Gehrig's disease. To honor her memory and spend more time with her family, Valastro closed all of Carlos Bakery's sites around the world for a short time on June 27, 2017. When Valastro wasn't working, he worked hard to improve his health. This led to an obvious change that got the attention of the media. He was able to recover during the break, which led to Cake Boss coming back in 2019 on Discovery Family, which is TLC's sister network. It was Valastro's idea to move the show to a smaller stage so that more people, including kids, could see it. While Cake Boss got a new lease on life on Discovery Family, Valastro grew his fame on the Food Network with shows like Buddy VC and Buddy VS. Christmas, which showed off his competitive spirit and cooking skills in new ways. Even though Cake Boss stopped being on TLC, it was still an important part of Elastro's work journey and changed along with his personal and business goals. He opened the Boss Cafe at the Link Hotel Plus experience in Las Vegas, which has a unique mozzarella bar and a colorful menu that honors his Italian background. The show did end, though, in 2020. But why? Buddy's life changed when Cake Boss became popular, taking him from a neighborhood baker to a famous person all over the world. Buddy quickly became famous after the show ended, so he used it to write books, start spin-off series, and open new sites for Carlos Bakery all over the United States, including ones in Manhattan and Las Vegas. Cake Boss ran on TLC for 6 seasons and finally reached viewers all over the world when Discovery Channel International teamed up with the network. His sharp light of the public spotlight came with fame, though, which became very clear when he was arrested for DUI in 2014. In the face of these problems, Buddy changed his focus to growing his power behind the scenes. In 2014, he started Cakehouse Media, a production business that wants to explore creative projects other than baking. This let him co-produce Cake Boss and its spin-offs, as well as try new things like unpolished and cooking shows from around the world. Buddy's move from TV personality to producer gave him more room to be creative and start his own business, but it also meant he had to step out of the focus for a while. As Cakehouse Media grew and made more shows, Buddy turned his attention to taking care of these new businesses. This meant that he was less visible in popular media. Also, the world was hit by the COVID-19 outbreak in 2020, having an effect on companies and people around the world. Due to the pandemic's widespread effects, Buddy Valastro and many other businesses had to deal with problems that had never been seen before. The hospitality industry was hit by lockdowns and limits, so Buddy had to find new ways to keep his business going. He said that things were very tough in the bakery, diner, and store businesses, pointing out that his businesses were only doing about 40% of what they normally do. Because of the pandemic, he had to expand his business interests while focusing on making them more stable and making sure the safety of his customers and employees stayed his top priority. He took a break from public events, which makes sense. Taking care of his business during the disaster and getting through the pandemic were his top priorities. He also used this time to start an amazing journey to lose weight. Buddy changed his diet by watching how much he ate and fasting sometimes. He was determined to take care of his health. Buddy Valastro has also stressed the value of family throughout his career, both in his personal life and at work. His family is always the most important thing to him. He has 4 kids and a loving wife. Buddy's children have been involved in the family shop and have said they want to continue the business. Buddy has loved spending time with his family lately, putting their goals first and supporting their efforts. Buddy is still a proud and active dad. He still goes to important events like proms and works with his daughter on their YouTube channel, Cakehouse. Not long ago, he talked about the happiness. But Valastro hasn't slowed down. Even though he is having personal problems and focusing on his family, he keeps coming up with new ideas for the entertainment business. Bud made a new deal with the E! Networks after leaving Discovery Channel International. Lifetime and he worked together on his most recent project, A Sweet Holiday Movie. This project, which was made by Cakehouse Media and E6 West Media, is an exciting new part of Buddy Valastro's life. There will be no more Cake Boss after 2020, but Buddy's story will never end. The show was canceled after 10 good seasons with a total of 251 episodes and 13 specials. Even though the show was very famous, it had some problems and controversies over the years, which caused it to be taken off the network's schedule. Buddy Valastro keeps coming up with new ideas in the baking business by starting new businesses and projects. Fans can't wait to see what their favorite chef and baker has made for them right now, but they know it will be tasty whatever it is. That's all for now. Thanks for seeing. Please like, share, and subscribe. Watch this video right now. It is really amazing.